privileged enough to be sitting in right now.
Men make up 50% of the population. 99% of the perpetrators of sexual abuse are male. 90% of violent physical assault charges are men. 95% of serious domestic charges are also men. Thanks.
No, thank you for showing us that you don't care about anything else but painting men in a bad light. Now, I'm not going to spend a bunch of time questioning the validity of the statistics you brought us today. However, I will bring you some of my own. So let's take a look at 2019. When we look at the male population within the U.S. in 2019, we can see that it was around 161.7 million. When we look at the amount of males arrested for violent crime in 2019, aka some of the examples that you brought up, we see that that number is 283,467. Therefore, out of the entire male population within the U.S. in 2019, about 0.001% of those males actually committed those atrocities. 0.1%. Less than 1%. But since you like to abuse statistics so much, I'm fine with bringing up how 95% of firefighters are men. 85% of police officers are men. 82% of the active duty military is men. 86% of engineers are men. 97% of steel workers are men. 93% of construction workers are men. 97% of bricklayers are men. 90% of mine workers are men. General surgeons, 77. Neurosurgeons, 90. Orthosurgeons, 94. 84% of farmers, ranchers, etc. are men. Shall I continue? We can honestly do this pointless dance all day. The post you decided to reply to was literally a woman attempting to make an argument for why men as a whole should not have rights within our society. And you decided to foot stomp this. Instead of just admitting that men and women are important, you just want to go back and forth and inaccurately represent what the average man is actually doing within our society. You can tell who truly cares about unity and who truly just cares about division and making their feelings be heard.
When presented with these facts, the first thing they will say is women only make up a small percentage because men don't allow them to be in these fields. But we know this isn't true. If we were to ask 1,000 women if they wanted to be a bricklayer, steel worker, or mine worker, how many of them do you think would say yes?
Right after I got divorced, I got into a situation with somebody I knew from work.
How quickly after the divorce?
Well, like immediately.
Okay.
And
like
we
like
worked
the
together.
day after?
Maybe. Like, sort of, yes.
Okay. How long are you married?
Almost 5 years.
Did you guys ever have any kids?
Yes.
And you got with this person a day after?
Yes, but I thought he was the love of my life.
A day after a divorce. And you thought he'd be living with you?
Yes. Like, I thought we were going to be together. We were going to be in love. But then that wasn't the case because he was married.
Oh.
Which I know it sounds terrible, right?
That sounds terrible.
I thought he was just like the love of my life, and we met under these unusual circumstances, which technically, like, I was married too, right? Like, so...
Wait the day after you were like, hey, I'm divorcing you? Is that how that went?
My ex-husband?
Yeah.
We had, like, a conversation.
And we were like, okay, so it's ending in a divorce? And
yes.
The next day, you were with that dude?
No, not exactly. But very soon after, yes.
But he was married?
I was under the impression that he was the same kind of married that I was. Which,
the
like...
same kind... What kind of married is that?
Like,
that's insane.
And then you wonder why so many men don't believe that marriage is worth it. It is because of how so many women view it. As if it's okay to just throw your vows out after an hour of deciding you're not going to be together anymore. That is not how marriage is designed. But it's scary how many women in today's day and age treat it that way. And then what happens to the men? Men are the ones that are more likely to pay spousal support, child support. They're going to lose half their assets. And I know that there's a lot of argument for that because, yes, the wife has supported him through making enough money. But I personally think that there is a difference between being the support and then the one actually doing the work. But I know that is a very controversial thing to say.
She is exactly right. They don't take their vows seriously or value marriage because they face no consequences for breaking their vows and throwing away their marriage. The man is the one that has to deal with the consequences. Remember, gentlemen, 97% of all alimony is paid by men despite women making up 50% of the workforce.
So social media caused me to get a divorce. Like, that's dumb. That's a mistake. Let me explain.
This is about to be one of those videos where I'm like, why is this on the internet? But continue.
My own feelings of uncertainty and unhappiness for a while. I was actually, I hate telling people this, but like, I had thoughts on my wedding day, and I thought that was just super normal. And I was in the haze of being a new mom. We got pregnant very early in our relationship.
This is yet another perfect example of how women fall in love with the process of being in love rather than the actual person that they're marrying. And once the excitement of the wedding and having a baby and all of those things die out and reality smacks them in the face, they wake up and realize, oh shit, I think I made the wrong decision. And in this case, a lot of these women already know on their wedding day or before they even have children that they don't want to be with these people in the first place, which I think is very, very selfish.
We got pregnant very early in our relationship on purpose, which, again, another story for another day. But, you know, being a new mom, I had 2 kids, 2 young kids, and I was just in survival mode. So I really didn't have a lot of time to think about me or what I wanted or what I was feeling. I was just in kind of like autopilot. And I think that's probably why, if you go back on my page, you'll see any videos of me talking about my husband where like I make us out to be like the happiest couple ever, which we're not unhappy. There is actually not a lot of tea here. There's not a lot of like jealousy or animosity or a big story or anything that was wrong. It just also wasn't right.
Then she goes on a 2-minute rant about how she got into therapy and her therapist is telling her that she's just a people pleaser and this is why she's made such poor decisions to begin with. So it strips her of any real accountability. She even says that she got on the internet and realized that other women felt the same way that she did, and that's why she felt it was relatable in how she was feeling as well. I'm telling you, social media will influence these women in a direction that they don't want to be in because now she's a single mother of 2 kids. And she even goes on to state that there was no tea, there was no abuse, there was nothing, and it was pretty much like she just woke up one day and decided, oh shit, I made the wrong choice. And she's such a people pleaser, but she doesn't realize that simultaneously she's being selfish as fuck, wasting his time and bringing 2 kids into the world, essentially immediately into a broken home or what's going to be a broken home. Look, and I'm all for getting out of unhappy relationships, but don't you think you should have figured that out before you got married or even perhaps after the first child? Like, you went as far as to have 2 children with this man knowing damn well that he wasn't the one or that it wasn't going to be a long-term situation. But then these women get on the internet and kind of brag about it like it's funny and like they're not part of the problem because everyone around them on social media and apparently this woman's therapist are validating them for these poor decisions. This just goes to show you how many women are at the stages in their life where they want to do everything for social media and they don't want to do it for reality, and where they fall in love with the process of being in love, but they don't fall in love with the person that they're actually marrying or being with long term. And I think it's incredibly toxic, selfish. I don't care how you spin it. The fact that these women bring children into the world, they waste a man's time and they do all of this, and then they get on the internet like it's funny or it's a joke or it's embarrassing and they don't want to talk about it, but you know, they want to get the clout for it. Is absolutely embarrassing in my opinion. Okay, bye.
If you enjoyed this video, I promise you'll enjoy this next video. I will see you there.